If I could just raise this other part. In the statement that was put out, the term unknown gunmen was used 3 times, the 3 paragraphs: unknown gunmen, unknown gunmen, unknown gunmen. Prior to this time, people called them bandits, some even called them terrorists. But is it instructive for you that it was a term unknown gunmen that was used?
It's deliberate. You know, I'm sorry to say that the media is part of our problem.
No, I'm talking about the statement from the academy itself, actually.
The academy also have to use that word to avoid reprimand from the higher authority. I was the commandant of Defense Intelligence College, and I know that at that time there are things I cannot say. If you term them terrorists, it carries a lot of weight, and you can be reprimanded for that as the commandant of NDA. So he is going to be very careful to keep on using that same term that is safe to use, because there are legal and other implications when you term a group terrorists. But I want to say on this channel that those people are terrorists. And if the government of Buhari is serious about putting an end to what we are seeing, he must pronounce them terrorist organization. Because once he does, it carries a lot of weight. And the reaction of the armed forces, where I belonged to before, will be completely different.
What was the point you were going to make about the media?
There is nothing that is going on today that is not actually tainted by the media.
How?
And that is why I have to come here and make bold to say what I've said. The media also know 80% of what I've said now, but they will not publish it. They know. I work with journalists. I was Deputy Director of Foreign Liaison at Defense Intelligence Agency. I work with journalists. I was Commandant Defense Intelligence College. I work with journalists. I train journalists in intelligence operations. They know. So why are they not also saying the obvious that will help the security and safety
at that time,
progress of this country?
So at that time that you worked with the journalists and training them and doing all of that, did you give them permission to publish your name as a source if they were going to go to press with those details?
Oh, I did. It was a policy because, you see, when I was made the commandant of Defense Intelligence...
No, because you had said that you belonged to a group that was not supposed to have been heard or seen. Yeah. So how did you give them permission to publish your name?
Yeah, because at that time I was holding a different appointment. I've held a lot of appointments in the military. There are certain appointments I will hold that has no connotation with intelligence at all. For example, I was the Chief of Staff Logistic Command for the Navy. That appointment has nothing to do with intelligence. I was the defense advisor to Nigeria in France. It has nothing to do with intelligence. So there are times I hold appointments and I have to deal with journalists. And I must tell you, I can mention some of them. Mohammed of NTL, I trained them because I wanted them to understand that military intelligence is not like a cult. I exposed some aspect.
Even though most of their documents are usually top secret and they tell you can't publish or even access the document, even if you see it by mistake.
No. There are places you process top secret. I mean, if you want to talk about document security, it's a lecture of itself. You have unclassified materials, you have confidential materials, you have secret materials, and you have top secret. There are processes. It's an area of military that you need to do a lot of training. So when we bring journalists in and talk to them, we ensure that they don't see unclassified materials. And it's just for them to understand how the system works. Basically, if you go to Afghanistan, if you go to Iraqi, you will see journalists embedded with the military.
But it's not the case here.
I think I tried to encourage you when I was the commandant that we should allow journalists to to have access to some of the things we do so that they can say it as it is. Because when I conducted the operation in 2007 in Angola and I came to Nigeria, what you read in the newspapers, what you hear on television and what you see are completely skewed from what we were doing.
So why did they want that to happen here, to embed journalists?
I just think it's myopism. We have a lot of illiterates in the government that don't understand that hiding things in this 21st century doesn't work anymore. They try to hide informations and they try to protect what they think is corruption to me. That's why they don't allow journalists to actually access some of these things, because this is the most corrupt country in the history of this country right now.
Markwa?
Well, sometimes, there are questions as to what usually will happen. I mean, in terms of, before you went into the journalistic exploration and how the media is sometimes a part of the problem. I think that there's an ongoing conversation in terms of how the media can be can be a source of support to the military rather than a hindrance. But